one day is fantastic and great and everyone gets their work done by noon and you get to go on a fun field trip. And the next day it could totally be someone's just having a hard time and it's taking them 3 times as long to finish something. So to have like something tangible, like a mission statement to look back on, I think is super powerful.
Welcome to the CHEA California Homeschool Podcast. I'm your host, Angela Lasch, and today we have a special episode called The Learning Curve, a first-year parent's honest story. We're sitting down with Shannon Allen, a first-year homeschooler who's discovering that this educational adventure is so much more than she ever imagined. Just 1 year ago, Shannon took the leap into homeschooling. And like so many of us, she's learned that this journey holds up a mirror, showing us not just how our children learn, but who we are as parents and what truly matters to our families. If you're in your first year of homeschooling, considering the transition, or just need to hear an honest story about the ups, downs, and beautiful discoveries along the way, this conversation is for you. Shannon's going to share her real struggles, her unexpected joys, and how attending CHEA's recent parenting and homeschool convention helped her see her first-year challenges in a whole new light. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into Shannon's learning curve. All right, Shannon, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thanks, me too.
All right, so we're just going to get right into it, and okay. I'm going to ask you the first question just so we can just get to know you a little bit better. Okay. So please tell us about your family. Yeah. I know you have 3 kids, and you have a little bit of an age spread there, and apparently a bunch of pets. So
too many.
Tell us a little bit about you, your kids, and what led you to start homeschooling this year.
Yeah, so I'm married to my husband, Ben, who actually is currently in seminary. So we're all, it's school everywhere in my house. We've been married for going on 13 years, and we have 3 kiddos. Amelia is 10, Adeline is 8, and Finn is 5. And we have a menagerie of pets, as you put it, Angela. No, we just have 2 dogs and a cat, and we're in between chickens right now. So yeah, and a partridge and a pear tree. So it's a crazy house, but we love it. We share our property with my parents, which we'll kind of get into later, as far as my mom is wonderful at helping out with homeschooling. And I think there were things that led up to homeschooling. There wasn't just like one moment or one thing that we were like, yep, this is what we're doing. It was definitely God like refining us and softening our hearts, I think, a little bit. My husband always wanted me to homeschool, and I was resistant. I loved elementary school. I loved kind of like the being social and just chatting with people at school. And I just really enjoyed especially elementary and even junior high and high school I loved. So I just wanted that for my kids. And then of course, once you actually have a child, that's different than before you have a child. Everything kind of changes and you're much more like thoughtful about what you're doing. And we were like, oh, we live in California. Maybe public school isn't the best, or it isn't what we want for our kids or for our family. And so my girls actually ended up going to a small Christian school in our neighborhood. We love it still, super, super tiny, but really great staff and leadership there. And they just fed into these kids and it was great. But unfortunately, because it was so small, I knew that the structure wasn't always going to work. And especially with my second child, she likes a lot of, I don't know where she gets it from. She likes a lot of interaction and communication, and their format style was going to be kind of half with the teacher and then half on a screen, because their classes were going to be split grades. And so I thought, okay, well, I really don't want to leave this school, but I really don't think this is going to be good for her. and who God's created her to be. And so I checked with the principal. I did my like due diligence, I checked with the principal, I checked with the teacher and make sure I understood how the format was going to be. And sure enough, that's what it was going to be. And I just felt God kind of like nudging me. And also, we live in a pretty small town. So another part of the puzzle was we're in a huge homeschool community. A lot of the families like at our church around town, they homeschool. So again, God was just, nudging us and refining us a little bit. And it was so good to hear of like how much support those families had. And even my sister-in-law, she kind of paved the way for our family. Again, we grew up, my brother and I, in the public school system, and we went to private school later on for junior high school, but um, we just weren't accustomed to the homeschool life. And so his wife really kind of paved that way for our family and just showing us what you can do and kind of opened the door a little bit. So all of those puzzle pieces kind of fell into place. And I would say the straw that broke the camel's back was just realizing that structure at the private school just wasn't gonna cut it for our child. And so thankfully my neighbor, who's Dina Bless, who works with CHEA, thankfully, God just put her right there, and she really walked me through all of my questions, all of my understandings of like options of homeschool. And so she's actually my PSP now. So I'm very fortunate, and she's just like been a huge support to me, and I really appreciate it. So that's kind of how we got there.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, I just love how the Lord just worked all of that out
yeah,
and just
amazing.
happened to give you Dina as a.
Just happened. I know, amazing.
All right. So you have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old, correct?
Yep.
All right. So, especially your first year, how did you manage those different grade levels? I'm imagining all your kids are different.
Yes.
How is that working for you?
So the 10-year-old Amelia, she's like a self-starter. You can give her a book and she'll want to do it and she will do it and she will do it well and she will do it till it's done. So I knew that was good for us because then I could focus on the little two. Um, so as far as curriculum, I knew I could just give that to her and I could trust her in it and we would check it together. And of course, if she had, problems or anything, we would talk about it. Um, but at that age, they can really self-lead a lot of the books and everything that they're going through, the curriculum. Especially when it comes to their age appropriate, I guess, curriculum, right? Like we were doing science and history together, but um, knowing that and kind of leaning on that, then I was able to give a little more attention and time to my then 7-year-old, who, like I said earlier, really enjoys interaction, really enjoys me sitting right next to her as she's doing her work, which is fine. And it didn't take me that long to realize it too, which I'm very grateful for. And then Finn, at the time, our youngest, he's only 4 this last school year. So um, he kind of just bumbled around a lot of the time. We worked on some preschool books. We worked on, little skills here and there, but I really didn't push it with him. I think him even seeing the girls over this last year, he's wanting to learn now. He's wanting to learn to read and to be part of it. And I think if I would have forced that on him, it just would have been a dirty mess. So kind of just knowing where each kid was at, I'd really leaned hard into that.
Yeah, and that's one of the joys of homeschooling. You can do that. You have those opportunities to, however each child learns, you know their personalities, you're learning their learning styles, and you have that flexibility. One of the best things about homeschooling. So, did you have any oops moments or mistakes in those first few months?
I would say my biggest oops was more towards the beginning of it all and thinking that, oh, this needs to look like a classroom and this needs to be, our day needs to be ordered in how it would normally be at school. And throughout the whole year, I slowly learned that I don't really think is the best for kids, that environment to be learning. B, I don't know that that's how God intended it either. I think that God intends a lot of learning through doing and through being in his creation. And so to have this like super structured homeschool looking like regular school thing is kind of a facade or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't clicking. And I think as soon as I realized, oh, we can just like make this look however we want it to look, it was everything seemed to fall better into place. And we still do like devotions and we talk about what day it is on the calendar and the season, sure. Um, but there's also room for other things because I'm not trying to make it look like what I think it should look like.
Again, one of the benefits of homeschooling. You're not doing school at home.
Right.
It's a lifestyle.
Right.
It's
Yes.
24/7. It is all day
Yes.
long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, when I had first reached out to you and asked you to tell me a little bit about yourself and your homeschooling, you had mentioned that homeschooling brings a large mirror. What did you discover about yourself that most surprised you?
Yeah, moms just need to like open up the trunk of their car and put a big mirror in the back and just get ready to stare at it. Because when I was when I was planning and just trying to be like really intentional, not just about our curriculum, but about our days and how our weeks were going to look, it was such like a big revelation to me of not only who God's created me to be as the mom and kind of the leader in this whole scenario, um, but who God's created my kids to be, and like just bringing attention and purposefulness to all of our decisions. I think we're so easy to want to like pick the best or pick the easiest or pick the fastest. But when that mirror is looking back at you, you're seeing like a little bit into the future too. You're seeing how this is going to impact my family. And you are kind of forced to reflect, to make choices that you're going to be proud of and choices that are healthy and good and beneficial to your family. Um, and it's not a hard process. It's actually a really good and easy process. But I think that you have to be willing to be molded. You know what I mean? Like you have to be ready for whatever comes your way because, gosh, we all know every day is different in a house, right? Full of kids and animals and dad's job and mom's job if she has one. Like it's always different. Um, and I think it just made me stop a lot of times to just be super intentional.
You are working part-time, correct?
Yes,
All
I
right.
work
So
part
I
time.
think that will be, very interesting, I think, to a lot of people listening because, we live in California. Things are expensive.
Very.
And yeah, people might wonder, like, how can you homeschool and still work part-time? How is that working for you? How are you making that work?
Um, it takes a village. That's like very true with our family. So I work just 2 days a week outside of the home. And on those 2 days, my mom, who I mentioned lives on the same property as us, she lives next door. She takes my kids. She's been taking them since they were born. So this is it's new territory as far as homeschool, but kind of the rhythm of our life is that. And she was thrilled to know that we were homeschooling. She wanted to homeschool my brother and I actually just learned this too. She wanted to, and at the time in the 80s, it just wasn't as free and not a ton of people were talking about it on podcasts and she just wasn't I think she was ready but my dad maybe wasn't on the same page, so she was really thrilled to be part of it. So um I learned early on too, just dividing up the kids curriculum throughout the week. So what happens is I will take on um math, language arts, and then I'll give them their science book to take over to grandma's house. We call her Baka. It's grandma in Croatian. Yeah. So they take their book over to Baka's, and she is, it only takes like an hour probably to go through a science project. So, and she loves it and enjoys it, and it gives them a different environment, but it also gives them like a different um, perspective, like learning from someone else and listening to someone else's rules. So I have found it very beneficial for them to continue their learning over there with her. And that's kind of how we work out our week. And then my husband also works remote from home, and he's taken on history and science sometimes, depending. And again, they're learning from a different instructor. They're in a different environment sometimes. He'll take them outside to do things. So it's been very beneficial for us because it's not as monotonous.
It sounds like that's really working out great. That what a
Yes.
blessing that you
Yeah,
have that
exactly.
support. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I know you also recently attended CHEA's Parenting and Homeschool Convention. What
Mhm.
made you decide to go?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely my PSP Dina who who encouraged me when I had first started asking her questions. It was literally a week after the 2024 CHEA convention. So she was fresh off of it and had so much to give me at that time. And I think I just saw like the benefits back then. And then now that I've gone through a year, I kind of also feel like ready to take on more. I kind of like set some boundaries in the beginning with how much curriculum, how much time, how much effort would go into certain things. And now that I feel like okay, we got that under control, we got that under control, I can kind of start adding like a little bit here and there. And I'm also more like mentally, spiritually open to hearing more ideas and more encouragement from other people. Whereas I think at the beginning, I had to block those out because I was just getting overwhelmed. So I think I just felt more ready to like take the next step. And yeah, we loved the convention. I actually took my mom, and we both loved it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, you had mentioned you already sound like you come from a pretty big homeschool community where you live. So when you came to convention, what was it like being just around all those homeschool families?
I mean, it's so fun, like being with like-minded people. You automatically kind of have your guard down a little bit, which is nice. You don't feel like you have to prove to anyone anything. I think sometimes it's hard, even living where we live, when there are a lot of homeschool families, you still feel like you have to defend your choice. And I think that's maybe a California thing too. Um, and being there, you just felt comfortable. You felt like you were in a family of just like-mindedness, and it felt secure, and I could just be more open and asking questions, and being open even with the speakers and talking with the speakers. It just felt very comfortable. Yeah, it was fun.
Did you have a favorite session or a favorite speaker that really spoke to you?
I did, and I had to look up her name because I forgot, and I don't know how to say her last name. Is it Vicky Stormone? Yes, yes. She talked about creating a mission statement for your family. And same thing, my brother and his wife, who were the homeschool champions in our family before us, they created a mission statement. And I remember reading it on their wall, and I thought it was super cool. And so I was really interested in listening to what Vicky had to say. And the two things that I walked away with from her were first, um, knowing your why, and again, feeling sometimes like people are skeptical about what you're doing. They're maybe adults even asking your children, "Why do you homeschool? Do you like homeschooling?" With that sort of tone. And she just was Vicky was encouraging and just saying, like, if you have a mission statement, your kids are gonna, if you work on memorizing it, your kids are going to have a why for why they do what they do. And she was saying that her kids, I think they memorized like three separate words. And so they would go around like telling people, well, it's this, and this. And that was like so like impressive to me because not only it wasn't her faith and her belief talking to other people about homeschooling, but it was her kids who were excited about it and sharing about it. And because they had their mission statement, it was everyone was on the same page and could explain why they're doing what they're doing and why they believe in it. And then the other thing too that she brought up was when you're having a rough day and you just want to throw the book in the dumpster and go to your room or go to your closet and forget about everything, that the mission statement kind of kept her focused. It kind of kept her in line with her why. And it was a good reminder to her of why she was choosing this, why some days maybe there's a sacrifice involved. And so that was really encouraging too, because I think there are those days where you just question like literally everything that you're doing, and it could be one day is fantastic and great and everyone gets their work done by noon and you get to go on a fun field trip, and the next day it could totally be someone's just having a hard time and it's taking them 3 times as long to finish something. So to have like something tangible like a mission statement to look back on, I think is super powerful.
Did attending the convention change your perspective on anything?
Yes, the biggest thing was the idea, kind of like the holistic approach of homeschool and family being one. I think for a while, I kind of looked at it like, well, this is our school time. And after that is like family time. And understanding that they're really like one of the same. And it's so beautiful for it to be the same, to just continue your familyness throughout the day, growing and learning and reading and listening to music together, that they're not two separate things, that it's like a whole approach to how you're raising up your children.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite, well, I'm done, but that was always one of my favorite things about homeschooling. And it
Yeah.
took me a while to get out of that mindset that this is school time and this is
Right.
the rest of our life. It's like,
Right.
no, it is
Right.
24/7. It is
Yes.
24/7.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so fun, even when you least expect it. Just something will pop up, and I think, oh my gosh, we just learned about that a couple of days ago, or something. Like even I get excited, but it's part of our life, it's just it's part of our rhythm now.
So again, it's only been a year, but have you seen a difference? Do you think it's strengthened your family relationships? Have you noticed a difference in your kids, how they get along, just the entire family?
I know I love this question because I for sure have seen the bond in my two older girls strengthen a lot through this. I think that they had their friends in their school that they were going to before, but they kind of just led these separate lives, right? Once they got to school, it was you're in this class, you're in this class, see you at 3 o'clock. Um, and so for them to like interact constantly, okay, so they're oil and water is what I should say. The older one is very methodical, very type A, very older child mentality. The younger one is the middle child. So she's a free spirit. She doesn't want anyone to tell her what to do. And that's literally all the older one wants to do is tell her what to do, right? So oil and water. So yes, so it's been such a blessing to see them um, interact together and just like click almost. You know what I mean? Like the sisterly bond. I never had that. I just had a brother growing up. So it's super special to see that in them, see them relying on each other, playing, laughing with one another. That for sure would not have happened if we kept in the private school system. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And like I said earlier, Finn is so stoked to start school in the fall as a kinder. So he is actually excited to read. And again, I don't think he wouldn't have even known that if we weren't doing this year. So I'm excited slash super nervous to be teaching a kindergarten.
Oh, but I love everything you just shared right now. I love that because I think
Yeah,
that's always a big concern, I think, for people. Like, my kids don't get along. What are we going to do home alone all day
right,
with them? How are they going to get
right.
along then? But
Exactly.
it actually helps. All right. So if you could go back and give yourself advice on day one, what would it be? That very first day.
Chill out. Chill out. Yeah, I think, like I said, I had an idea of what school was supposed to look like. And I even remember going through all the curriculum and writing out how many lessons there were in each book and dividing that by the number of days we had in school and trying to make sure that we get through it all. Well, by month, I don't know, 4, that was out the window. And it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't I think my girls actually still finished their books, but um it just was not helpful, I guess. It was, if I was more relaxed, they were more relaxed, right? If I was more intentional about sitting with them, they could get through it. They enjoyed it a lot more. So yeah, I literally had to tell myself, just chill out. Like it's all gonna work. It's gonna be fine. And again, Dina told me that at the beginning too. She's like, don't expect them to finish every single curriculum. And I said, "That like in my head, right? No, like my kids are totally gonna finish it." But and you know, we're still going through science. I think we still have history to finish up that will start back in the fall, and I'm okay with that. And you know, I didn't think I would be. So
Yeah, this is so encouraging to me because I feel like what you learned in this year took me maybe 5 or 6 years to learn.
oh my gosh, can't
So that is
imagine.
great. That
I
is
can't
great.
imagine.
I
Okay,
I am
good.
loving this. I am
Thank
loving
you.
this. Now, it does actually sound like overall you had a pretty wonderful experience your first year, but there might be people listening who maybe didn't have such a great experience. So, what advice would you give to somebody who might be struggling?
I think like the first thing is take a pause, even if it's a couple days or a week, you know, that you're actually doing school. Take a moment and just kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like reflect on like who your family is, what your family values are, what maybe your mission statement is, and just kind of have that. Even if you have to write it down, type it out, put it in a super cute frame, do what you have to do because that's going to be your foundation to kind of reset, I guess, right? So reset first. And once you do that, I think you're going to have so much of a clearer view of your kids and how they learn. Maybe ask them like what they want to learn too. I think that's super important because I'm not I'm not super gung ho on like education and my middle one too, like I said, she's not a lover of education, but if you can find a way to do it in a very natural environment, I think it makes it so much more enjoyable. But knowing like who your kids are and what your kids' needs are, I think are paramount in this process.
So, you had mentioned that you're excited to see where God is going to bring you on this journey. So, what are you most looking forward to in the next year or two?
So I don't know if that sounds nerdy or not, and I just said I'm not an education girl, but adding more curriculum. You know, we really started with like bare bones of, okay, we got our math, we got our language arts, we got our science done, basically. And so I really want to add more curriculum. I'm still not sure what that's going to look like. We got some awesome books at the CHEA convention in the little shop there. So I'd love to like read through that as a family. And then excited, not excited about teaching a kindergartner. Like I said, it should be really interesting teaching him to read because my other girls went to private schools that somebody did that for me, and they had an awesome foundation. And so, while I'm pretty nervous about it, I'm truly trusting God that He's gonna walk us both through that because I do truly believe that this is the role not only that He's given me, but I think in the family unit, this is His God's intentions for families. And so I'm trusting that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Finn being part of the class next year. Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to encourage you to go back and listen to the last podcast I did because I
Mhm.
actually did it with Vicky.
Oh, yes.
And
I did
yeah,
see her pretty little face up there. Okay.
yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think that that's going to be an encouragement to you.
Oh, good. I'm excited now.
Oh, well, Shannon, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk about your first year of homeschooling. Um, I know that's going to encourage somebody who's just praying about getting started, or again, maybe they had not such a wonderful first year like it sounds like you did, but just to encourage them to keep going.
Yeah,
So
I hope so.
it's a blessing. It will absolutely be worth it. So
Oh, good.
thank you. And I'm
You're
excited
welcome.
to hear about your second year of homeschooling.
Yeah,
So
we'll have to follow up.
yes, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much,
You're
Shannon.
welcome.
What an encouraging conversation with Shannon. Her honesty about the challenges and her joy in the discovery really captures the heart of what that first year is all about. If Shannon's story resonated with you, remember you're not alone in this journey. At CHEA, we're here to support you every step of the way, whether you're just starting out like Shannon was a year ago, or you're a seasoned homeschool family. CHEA provides resources, training, and community connection to help you thrive in your homeschool journey. Speaking of support, this podcast and all of CHEA's resources are made possible through the generous donations of families like yours. If today's episode encouraged you and you'd like to help us continue providing these resources to California's homeschooling community, please consider making a donation at CHEAofCA.org. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us advance our mission of supporting Christian home education across our state. You can find more resources, connected with other families, and yes, even make that donation at CHEAofCA.org. And if today's episode encouraged you, please share it with another parent who might need to hear Shannon's story. Remember, God has equipped you for this calling, and every family's learning curve looks different, and that's exactly as it should be. Thank you for joining us on the CHEA California Homeschool Podcast. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep trusting the journey. God bless you.
Brought to you by thepodcastupload.com, empowering faith-driven voices.